YouTube. How you doing? There he is, Steph
What is
Station,
up?
everybody. Thanks
Am
for
I
joining us on the
can you
very.
hear me?
We can hear you fine.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us on the first episode of Lynk and Scarpads Got Issues. We certainly do. Everybody will tell you that. How you doing? How you doing, Link? Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to talk about this book. I'm very curious about what you thought, but
Yeah,
I'm doing well.
it
Working through my
should be
issues.
fun. So the book he's alluding to is Black Science from Rick Remender, written by and artist Matteo Scalera. Now, to be honest with
Yes.
you, I didn't know a heck of a lot of stuff that Rick Remender had done, so I consulted my friend Wikipedia, and they tell me that he did worked on Uncanny X Force, Venom, Captain
Yes.
America, Uncanny X Avengers, um,
He's the guy that actually made Sam
Agent, Deadly
Wilson.
Class. Oh, did
Yep.
he really?
David Class.
And he
Sam
wrote,
Wilson, Captain America.
and he wrote EA's Dead Space and Bulletstorm. I didn't know that. The
No
games, yeah, he
way.
wrote
I
those
knew he
games.
wrote the story for Bulletstorm. I did not know for Dead Space. That's
And then
really cool.
he adapted Deadly Class into a television series, which
Sci-fi.
didn't do that all that well. And he
It's
worked,
the wrong channel.
yeah, and he worked in the past on things like Iron Giant, Anastasia, Titan AE,
No
and the Adventures
shit.
of Bullwinkle. So, but I'm not really all that familiar because I'm more of a DC guy. And although I've read
Okay.
some of those titles, I haven't read the one he worked on. Now, the artist is Matteo Scalera.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with him. Have you read anything that he's worked on?
Yeah, I actually have I've read a bunch of his work, but not not to brag, but I have like his first work in either comics or Marvel Comics, and I wasn't aware of that until like last year, but I've had it I think it was like 2009, 2010. It was something it was this one shot. It was a mini series, 2 issues called Breaking into Marvel the Marvel Way, or Breaking into Comics the Marvel Way. And he had a Deadpool story in there that I believe was his first work in comics. Because but yeah, I've read or seen quite a few books of his since he's been on the scene. He's one of my favorite current artists. I want to say I was first aware of his work on Marvel though, like where I paid attention to him was when he was doing him and Rick Remender. They paired up before this on a book called Secret Avengers.
Mm.
That Rick Remender had a good arc. I think it was like Matteo Scalera wasn't on the initial arc with Remender, but he came on shortly thereafter, like maybe 2 or 3 arcs, and
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of like for me like the defining artist for that run with Rick Remender. But yeah, I'm a big fan of his art. It's very it's very exaggerated, but there's a lot of detail at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think his art works. We'll talk about. I think his art works extremely well for this book. I'm not sure if I'd want to see the style and everything because, and we'll get to. I'm a little confused when it comes to his faces. A lot of them are very similar. That when you first get reading the book, it's tough to kind of distinguish who's who. And as far as who's who, now this book fits in really well. Now this came out in 2013, 14, I believe. It ran
The
for,
tail end of 13, yes.
and it ran for 43 issues.
Mhm.
And it tells the story of a group of scientists who have created a device called the pillar that
The pillar. Yep. Yep.
allows them to jump. And multiverses are huge now. So my reading is oh no, not another multiverse.
This
But
came out before multiverses were a thing, though.
well, multiverse has been around forever. I mean, you go back to you go back years and years. Multiverses are around.
Yeah, but it's a big gimmick, right, in the current climate of
But this isn't a
pop culture,
multiverse. This is an extraverse. So
or
it's a
an
little
eververse.
eververse. So it's a little different. So
Yeah,
you think of it as an onion
terminology.
with different layers, and each layer they penetrate is a different dimension
Right.
or realm that doesn't necessarily have to happen on Earth. It could happen anywhere. It's almost like a Stargate,
Yeah.
kind of, and it gets weird. Some of the stuff they penetrate and they go into. So the list of characters, we have a Grant McKay who's the main guy. He's
The
the
main antagonist.
ex-member of an anarchist sect of scientists. We have Kadir, who's the guy who bankrolled
The boss.
the
Yeah.
boss. Yeah, Nathan McKay's his son. Pierre McKay's his daughter. We got Rebecca, who's one of the scientists, and also
Co-worker and slash lover of Grant McKay.
yeah, a little harlot there. You
And
got
then you got
his wife,
yep, Sarah, his wife.
Ron,
And then
junior scientist.
Sean,
Yeah,
and then Chandra. She's I guess like the assistant to Cater, the one with
yeah.
the blonde hair.
You get Ward, who's a security officer who gets bumped off early, but
Yes.
does come back. And we get the shaman, who is a medicine man that they lifted from one of the dimensions that was at war between the Native American Indians and Nazis, which is an interesting concept. And the interesting thing about this book, because it's an extraverse, characters eververse. Oh my goodness,
Sorry.
characters that get killed have the ability of coming back. So
Yeah.
while they may die off, they may come back as a whole different version of those characters, which does happen at least once or twice in
Oh
the
yeah,
first 6 issues. Now we read, and this is going to be talking about the volume 1 of the first trade paperback, which is the first 6 issues of the story. And I was kind of impressed by how they jump right into it. There's not a lot of exposition or setup when we first meet the characters.
They're in the thick of it
They're
already.
in the thick of it already.
Yeah.
So you really don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning, going, what the hell? It does take you maybe an issue or two before you really get kind of what the gist of what the doing is.
Right.
And who's who. But when they start off, you get the father and the kids separated from the wife. Father and wife separated from the kids. The kids in the group are back in an area we don't know where exactly yet. And the wife instantly gets pretty much killed. She's dead.
No, that's not that was, I think her name was Rebecca, or no, not Rebecca, but something else. But we don't know who that. No, that wasn't Sarah. We don't know who that lady. No, Sarah's back on Earth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that might be my confusion.
No, yeah, that lady was just they gave her a name, but I don't ever think they show her in the background or any of that, or she gets no story.
Why did he tell the kids the mother was dead?
He didn't tell the kids the mom's dead.
Yeah, remember when he got back there, they said, "Where's mom?" And
they said where's such and such, and he was like, we're gonna come back for her. Sean was like, we're gonna come back for her. That's what your dad means to say. And he was like, no, Sean, we're not gonna sugarcoat it. Such and such is dead. Let me look up her name, but no, yeah, it's Sarah. She comes into play. She's a very prominent figure throughout this series.
Okay, because Sarah's under Sarah McKay, who's the wife in the list of characters.
Yeah.
So I thought that was the wife that got killed.
All right.
Go back and take a look. I'm pretty sure it was the wife.
It's not the wife. I'm on the first page. I'm trying to. Jen. Her name is Jen.
Oh, okay.
He says, "Explode. They'll die, Jen."
Okay.
He's talking because he was talking about the pillar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're in the thick of things, and we take about an issue to go through them getting back to the group in the cave where they are. And yeah, we see some weird shit. I mean, there's some weird monkeys, and talk a little bit about that, I guess.
Ghosts that use monkeys as shells to inhabit the physical world. We see a world where the Germans, we're seeing from the German perspective, but they never encountered North America until like far. I think it looks like it's World War II era, but this is a timeline where up until that point they never encountered North America. And the Native Americans are kind of like remind me of Wakanda in terms of like their advanced technology and just being, had they been left alone, they would have went further than any other.
And that's why there's a lot of mix here, because we get a mix of stuff that's happening on Earth and alternate Earths and alternate other places that we don't know of. So there's all sorts of realities being mixed in there. And these guys, they call themselves Dimension Knots.
Dimension Knots. Cool. Yeah.
They come up with their own term. So along the way, we in the course of the 6 issues, we see them jumping at least twice, I think. They jump into a
3 times.
3 times.
Because or maybe 4, because we get the frog verse first, Then we get the where it's got the frog people. Then we get
We get like
the
a
German world.
yeah, and then
Then
we get like a nice resort planet that they
yeah, that I
actually
think
lay
that
low
was
on.
the third world. Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. So three. Oh no, four. No, so four. So the third was the resort planet, but the fourth kind of is the monkey planet with the
right,
ghosts.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't know whether they're going to be jumping into the thick of some bullshit going on, or they're going to have, you don't know, and that's why this is almost not only does it give me Stargate vibes, it give me kind of Quantum Leap vibes, even though there's more than one person. You
Yeah.
get the
There's
kind
a
of idea where the guy don't
timeline where
know.
they're.
Yeah, you don't know where he's going to leap to next. They're going to go to
And
next.
wasn't he always on like a countdown to when before he jumped to the next?
Well, no, how it worked on
Uh,
Quantum Leap is like when he solved whatever the problem was, he'd jump out. So
okay.
whoever he was
Okay.
there to help and solve, as soon as he solved it, he'd gone.
What was there was the sliders like that then where they were on a certain
I
world
think,
for a certain amount of time?
yeah, I think Sliders was a little different.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That must be what I'm confusing with.
but it's similar.
Yeah.
So you get to see a lot of unexplained kind of weird stuff, and they can kind of almost do anything with that because it's and that's my maybe only qualm about the book is that a lot of times you have this feeling you're not really sure what the hell's going on because there's so much just weird shit flying around in all the scenes. I do like he meets a lot of different people more than once. He meets
Himself
himself and his
and his
wife.
wife. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were trying to take the kids away from him from a different dimension. And
Because they
then
claimed he kills them in every dimension because of his
right,
shenanigans.
right. And they also give him the little hint that Kadir is the bad guy in every dimension, and I don't think that's the case. And the
No,
guy goes,
I
the
don't
guy
want to
goes,
spoil this for you,
yeah,
but yeah.
the guy goes, well, at least every dimension we've been through so far, he's been the bad guy. And
Hmm.
then as soon as you go to the next thing, I don't think he is. I think it's Rebecca, the squeeze, that's the bad person in that one. So he's actually saving him when it comes to he was going to kill the guy.
Yeah.
But that was an interesting part of it.
I want to talk about the title real quick. I just like that. I feel like I love this book. Rick Remender is one of my favorite comic writers, so I'm probably a little biased. Yeah, but I feel like the titling, and I feel like to speak on the artist Matteo Scalera, I feel like it was just perfect fit because the title alone implies, it's reminiscent of black magic, but
Right,
it's black science.
yeah,
So there alone, you're kind of getting that it's a sci-fi magical fantasy hybrid where it's like,
right.
they might go to a world where it's like Blade Runner and shit makes sense, but they'll go to a fairy world where,
Well,
it's unicorns and
we don't know exactly what it took to develop this device.
right.
Um, and anytime something is termed black science, it's because it's doing something for the name of science in the name of all the good it can do, but also
Right.
the bad it can do.
The pursuit
For
of
a while, you could
solid.
call the atom bomb was black science because it ended up giving birth to something that could ultimately power the world and kill everybody.
And destroy it. Yeah.
Right. So black
Yeah.
science is anything that comes up that is maybe not ethical means to an ethical and non-ethical end.
Well, I
Can be
mean,
termed
that
black
may be
science.
the case, but I do feel like when you think of a sci-fi, you think of
Right.
a world with like hard set rules, and it's like you're looking at the world of tomorrow through a window almost. But this one, like I said, it's like might be in a world where everything's scientific and there's a reason, and it's it
Right.
might but not be too dissimilar from the
And the
world we
next
live
world
in.
is actual chaos with
Yeah,
nothing
magic and
applies.
yeah,
They
yeah,
don't even know if the next world they're going to have gravity. That's why in one line
yeah.
they said have these gravity boots
Anti-gravs and
in case
yeah.
we're floating in space or something like that, which they very well could be.
And then his line about Cater, he was like, he said some fuck Cater. He's like, well, if we land in this space or something, everyone will be fine except for Cater. He's like, fuck Cater.
Well, and as I
Gravitation.
go on, and I read this. I want to finish. I hope that they keep that up where they can come up with all different scenarios, all different types of rules, all different types of things happening.
They
As
do.
this,
They
yeah,
yeah.
And it is nice that, and we'll probably at some point, go through the whole thing. We're not going to go into next week. Won't be volume 2, but we're going to get back to it, and we're going to go and
Right.
finish this. I'm looking forward to finishing it. But this was about 160 pages. It read fairly quick.
Yeah.
I got through it fairly quick.
I enjoyed how the usually a lot of comic writers will use like the boxes as like exposition and stuff like that, and with Remender in this series, there was more like intimate. It was like in the character's thoughts, like when Grant's running through the forest in the first issue, he's kind of like talking to himself, and how like sorry Sarah, I did I
Right.
just quite there's a lot of internal stuff going on that I think really works and highlights, because like you say, you don't get too much exposition on the worlds we're in. We're just kind of left to put the pieces together ourselves.
Well,
but
and they go back, like the first issue is that, and then they go back. They did something I don't really care for a lot of times, the 7 days earlier thing, but okay. So we kind of get to see why the kids are there. They weren't supposed to be there, but they were in the room. He brought them in looking at stuff when shit went down.
Sabotaged.
That's right.
And I was gonna kind of give you shit for like, but no, it's understandable that structure. But it's like for comics though, you kind of need to hook people with that first issue.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's done to death. It's a trope that's done to death now.
But if
not so much in comics, right?
Yeah.
And not so much in comics. And the thing about this book though is a lot of the newer series. If you notice, things that start out to be like a 6-issue series or even 12 or longer, a lot of times they'll start out. The first issue is fantastic, and then the second issue sucks. It's terrible. I mean, lately that's what it's been. Absolutely horrendous. Yeah, but this book isn't like that. This doesn't have a big drop off in quality. The first 6 issues are fairly good, and there's no
the pacing
because you really don't know. It keeps it interesting for the first 3 issues where you're not really 100% sure what's going on, but the way they give it to you, it's interesting. It keeps you going through those 6 issues where it's not just a total drop off.
It's got a good way of keeping you like not in a lost way, but just giving you bits and pieces as you keep going along. You're like, okay, this adds up to that, and this kind of looks like it's leading up to that. So Remender did a very good job at seeding this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, did you have did you have like a particular issue that stood out to you, or like a moment or character?
Well, luckily we have the issue. This is the comic right here, Black Science. This is volume 1. Interesting cover there we got.
Yes, sir.
And
those colors.
We'll just go through a few pages now. We get the first.
I wanted to. Well, while you're thinking of yours, I was gonna say I in particular really liked issue 3 where they're on the. This is after Grant's been wounded, and Ward kind of steps up and he's like, I'm gonna go get the shaman so we can heal him, and it's just a really dope. I think that was. Like, I like moments where I have to go back and read it. Like, did I miss something, or did like in a good word, like, wait a minute, that didn't just happen. But that was the issue for me where it's like Ward, I'm like, bro, he's got this whole issue where he's like being a badass, and he's got this narration going on about how his family.
I would say the same. I think issue 3, because issue 1 it's kind of like, I'm not sure what the hell's going on. I'm getting used to the artwork.
Right.
And then issue 2, of course, goes back 7 days, and we get the backstory to fill in some of the story that we didn't have. So, by the time you get to issue 3, then it was just coming up here, right here. Now you're starting to push it forward, and you're getting more of the stuff that's going on now. You see the
you see
him and her. Everybody knew about it. He was
unspoken.
He was never going to leave his wife. He told her she was going to. You get more of the shaman stuff here, which I thought was really good. You get some excellent artwork. I love the artwork.
Scalera's on fire with this book. He's one of my current favorite artists. I will say that.
Yeah, I went to look up some of his like Captain America stuff that's been around to see how he handles those characters. But for here, for like something that's kind of a cross between a pulp sci-fi
Yeah.
and something that's a little bit more extravagant, I think he blends that fairly well,
Yeah.
and it
Absolutely.
works
Well
fairly
said.
well.
Funny bit. So our homie Nick Comic Culture had put me onto this, but so sometimes when comics they have like speaking differently, I'm ignorant. I only know English,
The blip
unfortunately.
blip blop boop 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 like you.
Or not even that, but the German bits. Like I was like
Yeah.
I pulled out my phone and I was like using Google Translate to see what they're actually saying. I'm gonna start doing that some more because it was kind of it's not
Well,
anything
that's a good
dire, but
idea,
it's
right?
just yeah.
They want to check to see if you're gonna do that enough. Yeah, that's right. So we get the German stuff here, and we
So just to go over this in this particular issue for the audience, um, our main antagonist has been injured, fatally injured. So his bodyguard, his Ben Grimm, his tough guy, is like, yo, he's got to go get a shaman who can heal him pretty much,
right.
and he's like they're like in the trenches of like a world war. It looks like World War I, like the
Yeah,
battleground, like deep trenches, and he's got to work his way through all this death and chaos and destruction and kidnap a shaman. You saw him going up against a mech robot, and he's got to bring that guy, the shaman, back to Grant McKay before the pillar jumps again. So
yeah,
talk about stress.
and he ends up losing his life, right? I believe.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
McKay, yep. Well, that's
Although,
because
yeah,
Cater ran off on it. Well,
right.
I don't want to spoil for people, but he's a weasel, but what you said earlier it rings true as Cater there he's not as bad as he's presented initially. Like
Right.
he works himself up from the shit piece that he is.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. That's a great cover.
Yeah.
Just colors, man.
Yeah,
Ah,
I didn't know
chef's
if these
kiss.
were the actual covers of the books, but I'm assuming they are.
Yep.
As I say, I don't want to show too much in case people haven't read it yet. But yeah, no, the artwork is done extremely well. Fits the book really good. Now, is he on the book throughout the entire run, or do they change
Yes.
artists? He is.
Now that is one thing Remender is big on is when he does a book with an artist, that's their book. Like the first book I believe indie wise that he's done with different artists was I won't say I cannot think of it. I just
Well, let me ask you a question. That doesn't seem to happen a lot lately. Do you think it's a? Do you think it's
scumbag.
okay? Do you feel it's kind of a bait and switch? And they start like a book with like this great artist, he's going good, and then the guy jumps out and they bring in somebody else.
Well, I think it's more of like a time thing nowadays, especially with
Yeah.
like in indie comics, you'll usually see like creative teams stay with this. You'll see books stick with the same creative teams, but in like the big two, Marvel and DC, it's more money based. Like, does an artist want to commit years of their life to drawing a character they're not passionate, even though they're getting paid good money and if people want to see this book, the artist isn't really feeling the story, you know
Right.
there this is you could tell with a series like this is something that both Remender and Matteo Scalera wanted to get out. Like this is something they had fun doing. So really think it's just like the difference between indie and Marvel. I mean Marvel and DC, like or the big two. Big two, they gotta hook the audience with a great artist, but it's like that great artist is hot, that hot artist is needed elsewhere to make a
Right.
book, so they can only keep them around for so long. But that used to bother me. As long as the artist or the art transition is fitting or it's not jarring and it's fitting for the story, then I don't mind it. But when I was younger, they used to drive me wild. I'm like, bro, just keep the same artist. I don't want to see. I can, it used to take me out of the world as a kid, but I can overlook it a little bit now. As long as it's fitting for the story, it services the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it doesn't really go down the toilet. That like they bring in
Yeah,
somebody comparable. It's not a
yeah,
huge drop off in quality. And a lot of books, something is killing the children is a big thing. I think that was only ever going to be like 10 issues, and then it ended up it was popular and ended up going like
yeah.
30 issues. question was, did he have story for 30 issues, or was it pop and he just kind of like went along with it? Do you feel
I
this in the 43 issues, was this always intended to go that long, or was it something that?
Yeah, no, this is something that's what like you could easily probably wrap this up soon. I don't want to say sooner. I feel like he told the story he was trying to tell, but this is a series that could have probably run longer than it did because of the concept alone. Like
Right.
he's trying to, the concept is a man is lost in the eververse, the multiverse, and he's trying to get his kids back home. He's trying to get save his kids, get him back home. That's the core concept of
Right.
this book. And you could, with that, you could have this run for 100 issues, because every time they go from one reality to the next, there's something that arises, but he told the story in a very organic way, and it came to a natural conclusion on its own terms. Like he could have made this book go longer if he wanted to, but he did what he needed to do, said what he needed to say, and he got out of there. For 40, because this started in 2013, and I think the last issue came out in 2020, maybe 2019.
So was there breaks in between the?
Yeah.
Kind of like what they did with Once in Future. Once in Future kind of had, they had 10, took a break, 10, take a break. So it took a while to get everything out, which is, and I'm definitely, if I like this, I'm waiting for, I hope they come out with a big omnibus of, one book of, with all of it. But I may pick up these trades because as I said, I'm reading this for the first time, and I'm enjoying
his.
I'm
a Rick Remender stan, but I was gonna say his Uncanny X-Force is phenomenal, but then I was gonna say his Punisher was badass too. I think that's what got me into the Punisher.
Did you pick this up when it came out, month to month, or how did you do
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Rick Remender, I think his first book that I read with him on was his Punisher run in 2009. He had written Punisher a few months before this in 2008, but he was co-writing it with Matt Fraction at the time. But his Punisher run was Jerome Opeña, and that was the first arc. Opeña didn't stay on, but that was the opening arc. But that's what got me introduced to Rick Remender, and I was like a fan ever since then. I followed him from Punisher to anything he did. So when I found out he was doing like indie books, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna back that up. And like I told you earlier, I had seen this creative team on a book and on Secret Avengers, so I already was kind of excited for their work.
So now having somebody that's had the benefit of reading a month to month and in a trade, which one reads better?
I think they both read well. I was actually shocked because you had said that this kind of was reading quick for you, and I was kind of shocked how quickly I breezed through these 6 issues, and not in a bad way. There's a lot of substance there, and a lot of
there's a lot of books that you can get through in like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
this has a lot of dialogue, but it also has a lot of stuff to take in the panels. You're seeing everything that's on in the panel, trying to figure that out as it goes on. If you don't take some time, you don't really understand it as much.
Yeah.
So I think I think it reads pretty well in a trade. As I said, it's about 163 pages, and I could read it.
It reads great in a trade, but I think that that benefits the monthly. If someone were to have been reading this month to month or issue to issue, I think that benefits it even more, because it's kind of it had great cliffhangers to get you. So when one issue would end, it'd be like the cliffhanger leading to the next issue. Like, God damn it, I gotta find out what's gonna happen. So
well, it's gonna be interesting as we go through the series eventually to find out how it changes. But I guess as of right now, and it probably will change. Who's, for these first batch of 6? Who's your favorite character?
Ooh, this is a tough one because I have read the series, and initially, one thing I like about Rick Remender, and this ties into my favorite character initially, was he takes the approach of, he writes what he knows. He always, you can tell he's always put in a bit of himself in his stories, because he himself is a father of 2 kids, a boy and a girl. His son, I believe, is the youngest, and his daughter's the oldest, kind of like Grant McKay. So I feel like Grant McKay is him in this story. So I'm gonna go with Grant McKay initially. Like I dig the whole, because I feel like he's human. Like he was. I don't identify with him completely, but he is a broken man. Like he does it. He means well, but he even when he thinks he's being sometimes he's a little altruistic, and he ends up realizing that he was kind of just being altruistic for himself, like he was kind of selfish. And but he's not an asshole, but he just he's a flawed man who means well.
Right.
And he just he really he get this event, unfortunately, kind of makes him realize, man, I've kind of been a shit spouse and a shit dad. I need to like really step my shit up. So, and he has to do it. He really does have to do it. So I Grant McKay. I will say Grant McKay initially. I like to struggle, but there does change.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Kadir. I like the asshole.
Kadir, he is bro. Kadir's a great character.
Kadir, yeah, he's a good character. He seems like your typical asshole guy who's just in it for the money, in it for the success. At one point, he says, "Well, you just you want me to fail so you can take all this success for this."
But if you look at it,
right, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was gonna say it's written that way, but it's like if you really look at the details of it, we've seen a flashback that when Kadir and Grant first met, that Grant had called him out. He was like,
Right.
you can politic and all you want, like politicking always beats out the talent, but people will always know how you got there, like kind of insulting them.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Kadir's like, what the fuck, bro? Like I don't even know you, like
Right.
And Kadir ends up being his boss. So yeah.
And even later on, I mean, when when he's suspected of being the saboteur, or when he is doing things, he's never a mustache twirling villain. He's always got reasons. He's always,
and then
he's always maybe sort of trying to do the right thing, but then a lot of stuff gets in the way. But in the end, he does.
It shows you he has a heart, though, because remember
he does save him in the end there. So
or no, with the I think it's the last issue where Grant has a pillar fall on him,
right.
and Kadir goes up to his kid, and he's been a dick. He doesn't care about kids' feelings up until this point, but he kind of is like, he gets on one knee and he's like,
right.
yeah, and he's you can tell there's more to Kadir than just he's not just a twirling mustache villain like you said. Yeah.
No, he's a little deeper.
There's layers like an onion to these people, these characters.
And what's going to be interesting, as I said, my choice for the next issue could be totally different because it seems like we're going to see. But then again, we also have to bake into it the fact that we're seeing a different version of Grant McKay in this book. So we have him in there twice. So your perception of somebody from one particular verse is
issue
different because you got another version of him that could be totally different. So and that's what really makes it interesting. So overall, I enjoyed where this first chapter of the story went. I thought it was pretty strong. Keeps you interesting to read. I don't know if we're going to rate these things, but if we're going to rate them on a 1 to 5 scale, I would definitely give this one a 4. I think it starts off very strongly. It keeps a pretty good level throughout, and then the 6th issue ends at a point where you want to read more. I think in the beginning it's a little confusing, maybe the first issue setting things up, but once you get into the second and third issues, I think you get sucked into it and you learn how everybody is and you get the gist of where it's going. And
Absolutely.
It's a pretty strong story. So I enjoyed it.
So I'm glad to hear that. I thought it was I picked the first one carefully. I was like, I got to get Scarpad invested, So I think I found the right book and medium or genre. But that being said, I will say it all day. I'm a Remender fan, Stan. I am a little biased. I think he can do no wrong. I'll give this one a 5. And not I say this not as like a stand, but because with a comic book, it gave me everything I want. It's got great concepts, ideas, characters seem like actually they're distinct in personality. It's not just people talking. You don't get a feel for everyone, but that progresses as the book goes forward. We find out more about the characters. The art is fantastic. It's top-notch art. It might not be for everybody, but they're bringing quality, even if it's not your favorite type of.
If I saw this and there was similar art, I might, in a Captain America book or a Hulk book, I may not like it. But I think for this book, the art fits really well.
I got some Hulk artwork for Matteo Scalera to show you. yeah, I think it gets you hooked right away. It's an easy read, but at the same time, it's not dumbed down. Like you this book leaves you thinking, you know, and I always think that's a good thing when
And this
reading
and this
a
and,
book.
and this would adapt very well out to like a miniseries. But you'd have to go with somebody that would be able to give you some high end CGI because obviously with the shit going on, you would need
Yeah, different worlds
visuals.
and shit.
The
Yeah,
visuals would be kind of tough, but they did Sandman to a certain degree.
true shit, true
So
shit.
maybe
They're getting
Netflix could do
better.
something. Netflix could do something like that. So anything else you want to say about the book?
No, I know. I give it 5. I think it's a great entry point I think it's a good example of why comics are great. A great concept, characters, artwork. It's just everything in comics,
Right.
what comics should be.
Yeah. So basically, what the show is going to be all about, what we're going to be doing is, week to week, we're going to be picking either an issue or a miniseries. Looking at like something like a single issue or 1 to 6, probably 1 to 6. 1 to 12 gets a little hairy, but a 1 to 6, 1 to 6 miniseries, or trade paperbacks like we did here of the first chapter of a ongoing event, which we will get
Right.
back to Black Science. So next week is my pick. Haven't decided what it's going to be yet. God forbid, God help you. Could be a single issue. Might
It's
be a
gonna be
run.
a fucking
Might be a
street
run.
trash or burial ground comic that I didn't even know
That comic.
existed.
Never
God,
adapted that in comic form yet.
probably be better than movie.
No,
No, I'm just
no. I think. Well, I think my I haven't. I always want to try to keep something I really haven't read because I'd rather read something I haven't been or been meaning to read. Although I
you're right.
might go back and pull out a classic. Who knows? Who knows? I guess before we get going, so next week, look for during the week we'll announce what we're going to be doing. But as far as what you're reading, I know do you have a regular pull list anymore, or do you read? Are you reading anything?
I took like I kind of stopped being a weekly warrior fall of 2021. I've
Yeah,
kind of stayed aware of things and read things here and there, but I'm just starting to get back into the weekly grind. Newish wise, I read the Jason Aaron Jesus Says Punisher run, which I think
Mhm.
has been fantastic. And I just read World Tree by James Tynion. That was an
Oh yeah,
interesting
yeah,
book.
yeah. Yeah, I don't. I'm not really doing too much month to month. I do mainly trades at the moment, but I do. The only thing is on my pull list is I still keep the main Batman titles because I want to drop them, and I keep the.
Starsky.
I'm doing the. I'm way behind on all those, and
Yeah.
and I keep the Walking Dead. I'm doing the because I never
The
got the original
deluxe.
ones. I'm doing the
Same. Yeah.
deluxe. I'm keeping those, but that's about it. And everything else I kind of pick up. Whatever looks interesting.
Yeah.
Whatever looks interesting.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I try to do it. It's easier to read once you get 4 or 5 issues out than it is to because nowadays, they come out staggered at such a wacky level that you may be reading
Yeah.
one, and then by the time you get to the next issue, it's like I don't remember this.
Yeah.
So it's better to get 3 or 4 issues in, I think. So next week we'll see what will it be. Will it be superhero? Will it be science fiction? Will it be the Looney Tunes comic? Don't know.
I'll read it all.
You read that's right because we will have issues. Maybe we won't like something. Who knows? It's possible. All right, guys. Well, thank everybody for dropping into our first episode. As I said, this is recorded weekly. It's my hope that this will be dropping on Fridays, which is, I think, when we're going to be dropping that this week. We'll have to see. And so stay tuned. You watch whatever you want. Like, subscribe, share, and keep reading those comics. And we will catch you all the next issue.